check those out. And color. This is like some of the best parts of actually going through and using this right here. Is actually creating different things with different colors. So a color can be specified by, you guys you see different names. So if we really want these to go through, and we do want this to be blue, want this to be tomato, and we want to, let's say we want all the reds to be tomato. So if you're using Studio, just do Control H. I'm gonna say Control H, red to tomato. Change all those instantly for you. If you want to change your blues, same thing. Control H, and we'll say we want to use Dodger blue. Change all those. Do that right here too. And we have all these changed now. See, now we have all these changed. And you can use different things along that lines right there to do that. So if we want to change this linen to this, to a light gray, you'll do that right there. And you also too, inside of here, you can see the color a lot better too as well. So that's basically how that works right there. Text color. So basically you have a couple ways you can change. Background color, which is right here. And then you have you do background color of basically almost any element for the most part. And then you have text color, and this would be any text, so basically just color. Background is for background color, is for the background of everything. Basically the color is for the actual text color. Border color, just border, and you go do border color, or you can do border and right through the, basically this goes through the width of the border. This goes through if it's solid or stripe or whatever else might be, and then the color. So you can do that part too as well. And then color values you can add. Basically HTML colors can be specified using RGB values, which is this one. You can also use RGBA too as well if you want to make some opacity too as well. You can use hex values, which is six digits. HSL, which is another one, and you see RGBA values too as well. And you can see how these work too as well. And HSLA works very similar to RGBA. It just really depends which one you prefer. And you can kind of see these right here. Let's copy over these real quick so we can see. And then let's do something different. Let's take all of these that we have, Control H and find them, change all of it to a hello world. Move this space. And then we'll see all our hello worlds right here. And you see that we should make all of these blue. So which one has blue? See, we have all that. And I'll show you all this right here too. Obviously, the color is the same as this right here, so you really want to watch out for that part. But yeah, but these are basically the same still. As you see, all these are the same color. Just the opacity has changed a little bit. Okay, so RGB. This is something very, very complicated, but it's not complicated. Because you can look all this stuff up at any time that you need to, and you don't have a problem with looking these up anywhere you need to. You don't have to learn this right here, but you gotta just know the basics. So RGB, the first digit is how much red. This is red right here. The next one is green. How much green? How much blue? And this right here make up all the colors that you possibly can think of. Basically, and then if you do RGBA, which would be once you have the opacity, which they call something else, alpha, right there. You have that portion, and you can switch this dial around, create different colors right there if you wanted to. Bring this up, bring this down. You can see you can easily play around and create different colors. ton of stuff you can do right there. And then you try them yourself too as well. Hex colors is very similar but different. Okay, so basically, colors you have you have red. So the first 2 digits right here are red. The second 2 digits are basically green and black. It's not black, green and blue. I apologize for that. Right there, but yeah, so you can see how these turn out as well. HSS is hue, saturation, lightness right here. So you have all of those right there you can possibly do, and you can kind of figure that out from here and see every single thing that you need to figure out on that portion. Basically, hue is the degree of the color wheel from 0 to 360. 0 is red, 120 is green, 240 is blue. Saturation percent of value, 0% means a shade of gray, 100% is full color. Lightness also a percentage 0 is, and black is 50, and neither light or dark is 100. Let me see that. And then saturation can be described in the intensity of color. So basically how much color you want and how much you want it to pop. From 0 to 0, 20 to 40 to 60, you start seeing the color pop a lot more. And lightness, and it goes through all of those right there. RGBA, well, basically is alpha, as I said before, and this is how you can, if you want to do something but you want it to be opaque or over top of it to have some cool effect like that, then you can do that too as well by just adding this digit at the end. And same thing, we'll do the alpha for this one too as well. Let's go to the next one. So the CSS background property are used to define the background effects of elements. So we have a couple of things. We have background color, which we discussed earlier. We have background image, background repeat. So if you are using an image and you do not want your background to repeat, I really recommend you automatically, every time you do something, is taking this. If you do not want the background to repeat, this is just for that. So this is going to be, here's a little space. So this is select all. And then you put a little asterisk, which is used for all. So that's used for all in quite a few programming languages too as well. For all. And then I would do no background repeat. Do this. Remember I said no spaces earlier, so we need to do that. No background repeat, and you do that on all your stuff. Or you want to use it for images, whatever you want to do it for. Just make sure the background doesn't repeat. So you can do that. Background attachment, background color, and background position. This is how you position the background. If you have an image and you have a background, but you want it to be more in the center, you go through there, and you can do background position, and then it'll align more in the actual center. And you can try all these right here. You can, as I said before, you can add all these you want to. Do a background image, and basically the background image can be any of, basically you put a background image, make sure you put URL, which is where the image is located on your actual server or your computer or wherever you're doing it, and use that, put that file path in here, and then from there your background image will show up. And this really just helps you create no problems too as well. And just another like mobile response stuff, we're gonna go more into this later on in a different chapter, but go ahead and do a couple different things too as well. So you want to make sure the max width is 100%, so nothing can be more than 100% of the page. So that'll help you out tremendously right there. So you have your background image right here, repeating horizontally and vertically. You can go through here and you can do background repeat, and you repeat basically the X right there. You can have no repeat, which I really recommend it, because I don't think any of the design, besides if you're doing something that you purposely made that might not be big enough, but it works well by actually repeating going across. So like if you ever seen one of the backgrounds that have like little dashes, there's like a whole bunch of replicate of those, and you don't want to create a file that is big enough to do that, to cover any screen, so you can do that and repeat, and it'll look the exact same, but it has to be worked exactly like that. So you can do a fixed position too as well. You can position to the right top. You do all this stuff too as well. You can keep it stand still. You can do some other background effects too as well. You can do a shorthand property background. You can do the color in case this image fails. So basically this would be the background color if this image is not this right here, or it cannot find this image. No repeat. And then you can do the positioning, which would be right top right there. And these are a couple different all the properties set up. So yeah, background, set all background properties in one decoration. Set whether a background image is fixed or scroll with the rest of the page. Set the background color of an element through background color, background image. Set the background image for an element. Go through and set the background image for for a background image for an element right there too as well. Set the starting position of a background image. Set how a background image will be repeated. And that's basically the biggest thing you have to worry about with CSS. Let's go to the next section now. So the next one right here is going to be CSS borders. So this is something cool you can use. If you use it well, you can do some very cool things on this right here and do some interesting things as well. So it's the CSS border properties right here. Especially mixed with backgrounds, you can do other different things on that lines. So the CSS border properties allow you to specify the style, width, and color of an element's border. So basically you have the following values. So you have border style. This is the first one. You have dotted. You have dash, solid, double, groove, ridge, insert, outset, none, hidden. And then you have all these right here. And you can see how these look right here. Basically it's engraved in, engraved out, different things on that line. You have a mixed border. And basically for each side you have top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. Border widths. This right here is also something you can choose between once you have your border style. You just choose how big you want the width, how big you want the borders to be. Really set and simple right there. The next thing is going to be border color. You can set the red, green, any color you want to. You can do the you can even go through and set each one individually. It's like right here. You have top, right, bottom, left. You can do individual sides. So border top style, border right, border bottom, bottom left. As you see, and set them different ways, exactly how you want them. Borders are pretty simple. Once you go through and you do shorthand properties, just use border, and then the first one is going to be the width. The second one is going to be the style. And the next one is going to be the color. Only one that's really required is the actual, is the border style. And you see those. And you have tons of different things. Border bottom color. All of these right here. Basically, you can get really detailed into which stuff you want to control and what stuff you want to leave alone. You can go through and do all of that. Okay, so let's go through this right here. So margin. So I want to say margin and padding is some of the best things you possibly can imagine. You need to learn how to actually work with and do. You can line some stuff really easily with margin, and you can actually mess some stuff up with margin and padding if you don't do it correctly. Specifically, if you're using something on the line as a framework, a CSS framework, like we're going to use, such as Bootstrap and stuff like that. If you can easily mess those up if you don't actually do these correctly. So this element has some margin on each side, as you can see, 70, 70. And then you can do different margins right here. So if you just did margin and you want to set it, just margins all around, just put the number right there. If you want to specify, same thing as always, top, right, bottom, left. Or if you just want to do top and you want to set the sides, left and right, you do what numbers you want the top to be and what numbers you want the sides to be. So it makes it easier to shorthand write it. So margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. And you use auto. The browser calculates the margin, and this really works well if you want to center it in the middle. You do length, specific height, so pixels, PT, cms, etc. You can do that. You can do a specific percentage in margin, and also you can do inherit that the margin should inherit from a parent element. So what that parent element is. Margin shorthand. So we have the first one, top margin, like I said, right margin, bottom margin, left margin. And you start to see that from all the CS properties, they all use this. So the first one's the top, the second one is right, the third one is bottom, the last one is fourth. Is left. You can start to easily pick that up and see that. And then too as well, if you want to use top and bottom margin, as I said before, and then use a right and left margin, then you will go through and do 25 pixels, and then you will go down here, right to left, and do 50 pixels. And if you want to set all the properties of this right here to basically all 4 margins to 25, you can do that by doing this. So let's go through here and let's add this right here. Yep. I think most of them are already set right here. Oh, I probably should save it. Just make sure you guys are saving it. And you see this one lost a little margin because it's set to something different. But yeah, you can do that if you wanted to. So it's not stuff you do with margin. Margin is very important, and I really recommend you going through this right here. This is something that you need to go through and do the exercises on. And also too, later on, I'm going to show you how to do some other stuff and how to learn how to use margin inside of Bootstrap and everything like that. But this won't be in these first intro courses because these are just basics. But this will be in something we go on later on in the course when we're diving into deeper designs and different things on this line. As I said before, you're really going to learn a lot of stuff in this course of how to go through and learn basically anything you possibly need to learn how to create projects. And by the time you finish, you will have a portfolio and a couple projects that you can show and show people that you have created. And I really want you to take these projects and make them your own. Let's go to the next one, padding. So padding. So margin is outside the box, as you see, and padding is inside the box. So the CSS padding are used to generate space around an element's content inside of its defined borders. With CSS, you have full control over the padding. As you see, top, right, bottom, left, we have all these things the same. You can set them how we set them earlier, and you can put them to any selector. You can do them to any of the IDs or the classes. So let's scroll through because all these are basically going to be the same right here. So you can do the width, and then you can set, oh, I want to have this much padding. And this is so your stuff is not pushed against the edge of all your content. So you see right here, all this has a little bit of padding. So because this wouldn't look right if all this was pushed against the edge. It would be hard to read and no one would really like it. So setting height and width. This is something important. And when you're mobile responsive, you really won't set so much the width as much because we're going to use Bootstrap and they'll do a lot of that. You'll probably set how it scales, but this is something you can think about right here. So setting the height and width. So setting the height and width, you can set the height and width as you see right here. And we're going to do this right here. I'm basically trying to show you guys what it looks like. So basically we set the height to 200 and we set the width to 50%. So it's going to set wherever the page is 50% and the border, I don't want to set the border color to that. Yeah, so let's see what it looks like. And you see that these start to take over right here, and you see everything kind of changes a little bit because the height and the width and stuff. Because the height, the width is only 50%, so it's in the middle of those 50%. So it's very interesting in that part. Let the page go back to how it's supposed to be. And that's basically it right there for the height. You can change the height to any of the pixels. You can set it to basically any of those things, percentage. All those height, max width, minimum height, minimum width is very important. So if you don't want an element to get too small on the page, then set a minimum width. If you don't want it to minimum width from a scale size. If you want the height of an item to never get past a point, max height. Same thing. If you want the height to never get past a smaller point, do the same thing and do that vice versa. These are very powerful right here. You will use these right here quite a bit, especially starting out, but later on you won't use them as much. But you will use these right here to be able to control how you want things to be very responsive. So CSS box model. So this is very important right here. This explains so much of everything that's going on, everything you'll need to know. So all the HTML elements can be considered as boxes. In CSS, the term box model is used when talking about designs and layouts. So basically all that's saying right there is basically that just think of everything as different levels: content, padding, border, and margin, as you see below. I'm gonna read through this right here because I think this is really good information, and they wrote this pretty well. The CSS box model is essential, a box that wraps around every HTML element. So this wraps around every single thing that you possibly going to create. It consists of margin, which is at the very top. You have borders, then you have padding inside of borders, and then you have the actual content. Then below illustrates the box model. And as you see right here, you have a margin, which is outside of the container, right outside of the walls or the borders of the element. Then you have your padding, which is inside of it, and you have your content, which is surrounded by your padding. And basically the content, so you see right here, where text and images appear, clears an area around the content. The padding is transparent. A border that goes around the padding and content. Margin clears the area outside the border. The margin is transparent. And then width and height of an element, a div right there. And so too as well, you have to really, when you use width and height, basically if you're using margin or something like that, it's going to kind of change how the height and stuff is kind of pushed in position, especially on padding. If you talk about the content, if you want the content to be a certain height, then you need to watch how you put the padding, because the padding is going to add to that on there. Or if you use negative, it'll do that. So as you see right here, you see that you have right padding, so it's going to add 20 on this right here. So it's just 10s on all around. So then add the width of it's going to increase by 20. And then you added a 5 border on each side, which would be left and right, would be another 10. And then you can add any margin. But if you add margin, it's going to, the element grows bigger and bigger. So the size is going to grow pretty much as you keep adding bigger sizes. Let's go to the next one. So CSS outlines. So this element has a black border and a green outline with a width of 10 pixels. An outline is lined to draw around elements outside the border to make the element stand out. So this is the outline right here. And this is as you have your padding right here, and then you have your margin around this. But this is outlines right here. This is another part to the box method you can talk about, help stuff stand out. You can do all these right here. I'm not really focused on this right here. It's not something that I really use a lot, but it's other stuff you can do. So CSS text. So text color, text alignment, very important right here. We'll use this a lot. Text alignment. I recommend actually going in when you create something and just create classes really quick. So anytime you start a project, I would literally copy this stuff over every time I do something. So go in here, not text emphasis, text align, and then I would do right. And then do your same thing here, left. So you just got to add the class. You're going to add this over and over to every single thing. Let me pull this back up. And then I would do a center one. And then center. And you have those right there. You can use these classes to kind of separate everything. So technically, you could just take away all these right here. Let's remove this. And then we could just add this class. So, yep, we add this class to each one that needs it. Do that. And you see everything kind of goes back in place right there. If you want to, you have your classes. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to go through and just, you can quickly, while you're writing your CSS styling in your classes, just go in and put center. You want to center stuff to right or left, which way you want to do it. It makes it so much easier. Right there. You can do justify it too as well. So if you wanted to, I really don't really use this as much at all, but you can use it. I will call this class though, like cats. I'll call it justify. But something you can use if you really need to get it to go across the whole page correctly. So basically, it'll stretch every line to have equal width. It is interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I do recommend using it too as well. Sometimes if you need it to look exactly the same, if you're doing more of a very symmetric look and feel. Text decoration. This is really used for on different things online like links, as you see right here. So this is a attribute of a link. Nothing we're gonna go to right now. You guys will be understand that stuff too as well. We went a lot of that stuff into when we went into the HTML, but this is the link. We take the decoration, underline these two as well if you wanted to. So literally, if we were to copy these over, you can see how these look. And then let's make this one a P right there, and this. Let's make this one the H1. Oop. Okay, let's see how it looks. So you have a line through, underline, overline, line through, underline. Something cool if you want to do those two as well. You can add that. Let's go to the next thing. So we can also too with CSS, you can transform the text that you're actually using. So you can do you want everything to be uppercase, lowercase, whatever you really want right here. I really recommend just going here. Same thing I'll be doing right here at the top. But I'll remove these P's. Paragraphs right there. And you can go in here and then play around with some stuff right here if you want everything to come out a certain way. So let's say make this uppercase, make this lowercase, let's make this capitalized. So basically it'll capitalize the first word of every the first letter of each word. And we'll see this change in a second once we save it actually. So this is all capitalized, lowercase, first of each word. Text indentation right here. Probably you specify the indentation of the first line of a text. So basically you can, if you're doing like a paragraph and you want it to be indented in a certain thing, because maybe you want to add like an accent or some type of large accent or something at the very beginning of it, you can put that there, indentation. I've only used this about not too many times, but enough sometimes when you're doing like creating like blog posts, so that we might dab more into this right here. But this is something interesting you can look into. Letter spacing. So if you want the letters spaced out more or not spaced out more, this is how you use that right there. Line height, same, it's very similar. Text direction. So this is right to left, and then LTR will be left to right. So you can change the direction of an element and different things along that line right there. So you have the text shadows, all those right there too as well. And just to be for your text right here, I don't recommend using this as much in case you're doing it for a specific reason. You have all these right here, vertical line, white space, word spacing. Really something to go back and look in through to there as well. But for the most part, these are kind of like the main ones we're going to. You can go into, we will probably go into fonts on a different one right here. But this is basically for the most part all we're going to really go through, because I don't want to take too much time with too as well.